Hello guys, we're back. We're gonna be talking to Charles now, and he's gonna be looking at some celebrity candidate examples, like the really good potentials. So I'm just gonna have to wait a little bit, and for Charles to come on, he's gonna be looking at some of the examples we have. He's gonna be looking at your boss mix and some of the journalists from northern Uganda. He's probably gonna be looking at the national stage as well. It's quite a few celebrities that is gonna be touching on and trying to assess them on an individual basis. And then he's also going to present his own views about what he thinks of these celebrity candidates. So I've sent him the invite now. We just wait for him to log on, and then we can get started. Yes, Charlie. Can you hear me? It's nice to have you, mate. It's nice to have you.
Nice to see you. Yeah, it was a good program with our other colleague. I think he went over very good points, um, which was nicely appreciated. Obviously, the topic for
What I
today
wanted
is,
you to focus
yeah,
on, what I wanted to focus on, Charles, for me is some of these examples. Clearly, from the north, we are very much interested in Bosmic because it's
mm,
going up against it's going up
Okin
against
PP.
a very good politician as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's going, and PPP is quite a good politician as well.
yes,
And I just want you to use Bosmic's example and possibly Liam as well. Liam is going against some good examples as well for the district woman.
yeah,
So if
yeah.
you could just touch on those two examples and maybe on Bobby Wine as well, because Bobby Wine seems to be obviously is going up against the cream de la cream of Ugandan politics. You have your Mao, you have your Museveni's, and
Yeah,
as a young man,
yeah,
he's got his youth and celebrity power riding for him. So
yes.
if you can address these issues and utilize some of those examples, celebrity power and political power, is there really a difference?
So I think the topic is a good one. So if we ask ourselves, who is actually a celebrity? How is it defined? Now, a celebrity must be somebody who is famous. Yeah. They are usually people in entertainment or they are usually people in sports. And because of those
Mm,
two careers, it makes them prominent, i.e., they'll be um, seen frequently in the media or, physically. And then that makes them famous. Um, so
mm,
they tend to be of a VIP nature, and or their personality might be attractive, or sometimes it's just their name.
mm,
So if we take our brother
mm,
Bosmic, um, Bosmic is a celebrity. His background is in entertainment. He's a musician, and now I'm not quite sure if we can say because of his celebrity status before entering into politics, he was already a well-off individual in terms of was he a rich person? Did he have a lot of money? Did he have a lot of assets to his name? I would not think so.
mm.
Judging by what I know about Bosmic, anyway, I don't think I could say that. Now,
It's done much better than other artists, but it's not necessarily. He is stable, but it's not. You wouldn't say it's wealthy, but he's stable for obviously for somebody of his age and
so
the nature of the job.
So he's financially stable, but I think he looks at himself as probably someone deserving of being of a higher status. And that is what I think his real reason for entering into politics must be. And why do I say that? The reason is, if you remember, and we humans, we have a very short attention span because very
Mm,
recently,
mm,
um, this brother of ours was a main spokesperson for People Power, right?
mm, mm.
And I think he was a main spokesperson for People Power in the North as a whole, because
Mm.
People Power has been trying to get its roots.
He got arrested. He got arrested for a demonstration on behalf of People Power, if I recall.
Yes, Yes, he did. And I think, he started off very well, very genuine. At that stage, I would not say his drive was to gain popularity so that he gets a reward from that. Because obviously,
You
if
already had the popularity anyway. You already had
he,
the
he
popularity.
had he had the popularity, but sometimes popularity on its own doesn't give you the wealth that you need. Because
Mm,
right now, the reason why I'm saying his ulterior motives might not be quite politics, but amassing wealth for himself, is the
mm,
fact that he has now decided to ally himself with the government.
mm,
And we all know that when he gave his speech for leaving people power, one of the reasons he gave was that
mm,
Bobby Wine and his colleagues were not able
mm,
to support him financially. So I think
mm,
he sort of betrayed the main reason why he wanted to be in politics when he said that,
mm.
in my opinion, because if you're in politics to help the disadvantaged, it doesn't matter whether you're making money out of it or not, you will still carry on. But in his view,
I think you're quoting the young man out of context there, Charles.
okay, could be.
Because I think he made that remark based on the fact that you do need money to win elections. It costs
Hmm.
money to run a campaign. So
Yes.
and I think this is where a lot of the candidates are going to struggle, I'm sorry to say, because the party structure, the opposition party structure, is very weak financially, and very few of them can support their candidates to run a campaign.
Mm,
Now, if you don't have the personal resources or a godfather to sponsor you individually, then
mm.
definitely, if you really have the conviction to become a politician, you would really want to associate with the party that is going to give you the best chance. So I think we should stop pinning it on him that it was purely a financial gain um, motive to cross over from people power to NRM. I think it was rather a strategic political and leadership decision to give him the best shot. Yes,
Oh,
people power
okay.
could have given him the fame that could have driven him to victory,
Mm.
but you still need the money to do that.
So let
Now,
me.
the issue that I have with the whole people power structure is,
Mm.
and Bosmick said this very clearly, everything is centered around an individual. Now, if all their support, all their money is going to go into funding the one candidate, what about the money that is running to them? Are they
Right.
not all just going to be misled and end up on the campaign trail without money and just become bullies and nuisance like they already?
Okay, no, that's a legitimate point. Let me make it very clear. I don't support people power, and their type of politics is not in line with my thinking. So let me put that to one side. What I am trying to say
Mm,
is that Bobby Wine is a celebrity up in Kampala. So let's put him to one side. Let's look at Bosmek. Bosmek is a
mm,
young, up and coming individual. I would throw my weight behind him because one of my philosophies is
mm,
that older people should be
mm,
living the environment so that younger people are given a chance as well. So that would fit in very well with uh, trying to assist and create the right environment for someone like Bosmic to participate in politics. In
mm,
other words, if he was standing um,
mm,
without controversy against an older opponent who has not performed or who has had a checkered kind of leadership career, I would be supporting Bosmic.
mm,
But what bothers me is if you don't give me a straight reason why you've gone into the politics, i.e.,
mm,
you are trying to tell me that because a pressure group that you are belonging to did not support you financially for whatever reason, that is why you have left them. And then what I see is that the party that you have moved to have now given you money, which you are now going around the constituency giving around, which previously you were saying you didn't have enough money and you wanted money to to educate your kids and to make yourself better. What that tells
mm,
me is that you are not in that politics for the right reasons, i.e., you giving money out on the streets to people is not going to help.
mm,
That's not what we want leaders to go and do. What we want leaders to do is to tell us if they are elected and they have gone to parliament, are they going to
mm,
reflect the views of the electorate? Now, he hasn't
mm,
talked
mm,
about that. Maybe that is going to
mm,
come. Secondly,
mm,
what plans do you have particular constituency that you're standing in? Yeah. What problems do they have? Are you
mm.
actually well versed with?
So, somebody did say earlier in the comments that they looked at his manifesto or whatever in Kampala. One of his friends in the questions I posted said they looked at the manifesto and it's very practical and
Okay.
it's going to help the community. And I think what we're seeing now is a lot of these guys are holding on to their manifestos and they're not just going in full blown because maybe they were waiting for the primaries, but now
So
that is done. So we
let
might begin to see people coming up with more substance.
let me put to you this way. I'm sort of quite busy on the social media looking at
Mm,
what prospective candidates are putting forward as their reason for wanting to stand. One of the gentlemen who put
mm.
himself forward is Okidi, who is going to stand in Gulu West.
Christopher, yeah,
Yes,
Christopher, Kitty
yeah,
Christopher, yeah.
yeah. He has been in social media, and when I saw his opening remarks, why he wants to
Mm.
stand and what his background is, and
Ella
all the rest
Kijanga
of it,
is here as well. She's going for Noya, so we might just bring her on
we
at some point.
we will speak to her. Yes. What I asked my brother Okidi, and I've never met the guy,
Mm,
but I was going by what I saw on the screen. I said to him, I've seen a
mm,
list of things that you are saying you're going to do for the constituency. So my question to
mm,
you, number one, is how are you going to achieve all these things that you're promising to the people? That's point number
mm,
one. And secondly, how are you going to evaluate your performance against those things that you have put forward? In other words, are you
mm,
going to be coming back to your constituents and telling them what your progress is regarding each of the
mm,
points? So that was point number two. And point number three, I actually asked him
mm,
if he does not manage to deliver on the points that he has put forward, what does he
mm,
expect the electorate to do? So these were the three
mm,
points
mm,
I put to him. And I'm still waiting for
mm,
the answer. So what I'm saying to you is Bosmick
mm,
might have a
mm,
good, colorful manifesto, but
mm.
does he have the expertise? Does he have the I don't know how to put it. Is
The
he
know-how.
the know-how? Is he
Mm,
able to deliver on those manifesto points? Yeah,
mm,
and that is how we should judge them. We should listen to how, because anybody can make a list. I could make a list and then go to a printing company, make a poster.
And the other thing that you're raising there for me is
Mm,
yes, you can have the most brilliant manifesto, but you don't lead in isolation. Now, do you have the know-how or the means to get the resources to implement these manifestos? And not a
but
lot of these guys have a single clue of how they can raise money, minus government lobbying. They
mm,
don't have a single clue of how they can raise money. Say somebody says, "Oh, I want to set up an hospital or something." For
mm,
example, when you look at say somebody like Judith Achan, I think Peace Achan, she's running for Nwoya Woman MP.
mm,
In the last elections, she managed to raise funds and give them an ambulance. Okay, that
mm,
was without government support.
mm,
Okay, now when you have leaders who are like that, who can take initiative, I think that's what we need. But what we're seeing is a lot more leaders that depend on government for everything, and government doesn't have an endless pot of gold. Do you know what I mean? The
yeah,
government has priorities, they have limitations, and they themselves are being funded by the West.
mm.
So really, it's you raise a very crucial point about manifestos and list and know-how. So I'll
Mm.
let you carry on there.
Yeah, this point actually links to our first discussion, actually, if I remember rightly, because what we were saying was
Mm,
how we need to use this forum to educate the voters, and then we were looking at um, certain policies that we need to pin on our candidates so that
mm,
they buy into it, even if they want to do so or not. Because
mm,
one of the points that we want to make sure we put within the discussion is that if an MP is not performing, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to wait for the entire five-year term to finish before we wait for the next voting round to come so that we vote them
mm,
out? Or there should be a mechanism. But also, there is an issue here. There might be a contradiction between what exactly is the role of the MP versus
mm,
um, if, say, somebody is in the district, their duties
mm,
are different because we were looking previously, if you remember, at our brother Ojara Mapenduzi versus Leandro Komakech, who is in parliament, and Mapenduzi is in the district. So
mm,
what I'm looking at here is if someone can show that they are well connected, okay,
mm, mm,
not just locally, because your local connection can dry up and then you'll have nothing if you are only
mm.
relying on local connection. So we need someone who can show that they are a good operator who is able to connect with people both locally and overseas. Because
Internationally.
exactly, because if you can connect with people overseas, it means whether they're going to be friends or people coming in to do investments, then it,
Mm,
it means if an MP starts an initiative, let's say an initiative to create a vocational school whereby you're going to
mm,
teach about bricklaying, carpentry, and whatever, we can
mm,
easily partner with an investor coming in. The district will look at ways, mechanisms of accommodating the investor, whether they're going to
mm,
give them land for free initially, and then they bring their funding and maybe the technical know-how to come up with
mm,
an initiative which helps the people within the district. So I would say if you look at Bosmic and Okin PP, there's a vast
mm,
disparity between the two in terms of who can show that they've got connections. Because someone like
mm,
Okin PP, who worked in the
mm.
United Nations, is well exposed. We know that he has
He
actually
got his
shown.
master's from the University of Dublin, which is a very good university as well.
Correct. So such a person may not have shown in this first term that he can bring in friends around a policy setting which can help his electorate. But that doesn't mean
Mm,
we should now vote him out. We should listen to what he has to say. He should not take his voters for granted. By all means, we can encourage someone like Bosmek to challenge him, but unless Bosme can convince us that he is going to be a better member of parliament in that constituency, then I don't see any reason why,
mm.
why we should vote for him because the early signs are not very good, whereby you're carrying a bunch of new notes and you're showing, you're dishing them out on the streets of Kitgum so that people vote for you. To me, that one is
That,
not a
that
good
that in
sign.
itself is an
Mm.
elect that in itself is an election malpractice, and I think even if he wins, PP could still go on and challenge him on that, and he might just lose the seat because of that. Because there's
Right,
candidates from the last parliament that lost their seat for trying to bribe voters, because that
right,
would be as bribing voters, I think.
right,
So he's already in trouble, as it were.
right,
But
right.
let's move on to something more important though. So
Yes.
is it all about money for these celebrity candidates? Do you think? Because it's quite a lot of them, and
Right.
the law of comparative advantage. Why don't they specialize in what they're doing
Mm,
and just carry on with it? They're living far more comfortable than a lot of other youth graduates that have been pounding pavements for 5, 6 years,
mm,
and they do have a job, be it a journalist, be it a musician. A lot
mm,
of them are living far more comfortable than these other guys.
mm,
So why must it always be about them, and why should they always try to? Not every opportunity is meant to be taken advantage of, you
mm.
know so really, is it for me, it's starting to look like it's all about money and power to them. It's not about the politics or the people, because whatever they could have done as a politician, the celebrity power gave them the opportunity to do it anyway, besides making legislation.
Mm. Can I say I tend to agree with you on that because and it's not good to agree with the panelists so that it doesn't make of a very good discussion because you will not
We
probe
are
any further.
colluding.
Yeah, but if we look at
Mm.
it this way, now I want to throw this in, and I don't quite know what the answer is. What does the law of Uganda say about the funding of candidates or parties? Right?
I think the political parties gives them government channels some money to political parties, and then the political parties give, but I don't know if it's for MPs, but I know for the presidents in the last election, each of them got like 20 million for campaigns, which is nothing really because they're spending in
Right.
billions, to be fair. So
Right.
So I don't know, but most of them are having to rely on their own funds or look for godfathers, like we mentioned about godfathers earlier. Most of them are having to rely on family. At around this time, the political families are under a lot of strain because
Mm.
individuals are asking for money. Friends as well. I believe somebody has approached you just because you're in the diaspora. They've approached you to give them some funding for campaign. Now, some of them are relying on their own finances. You have the guy going for Gulu City Mayor is quite is apparently is quite wealthy.
Is that
Uh,
Abuka?
I can't remember
Zeru?
the name.
Zeru Abuka? Is that the one?
No, not Zero. What's his name?
Okwanga, okay.
Okwa Alfred or somebody. Yeah, is quite wealthy apparently. So there is a little funding that government gives to each aspirant, I think, through the political parties. And then for the guys who are aspiring for the presidents, I think in the last election, each of them got 20, which if you factor in inflation, it might go to 30 million for each
Mm.
this time. So it cost the taxpayer a lot of money, this election processes. Now, and it's not fair on us that people who are not deserving want to contest because they're wasting not just their time, but our time too. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so then, we go back to the question then, is it all about the money for these celebrities?
So let me put this to you, and then you can see why money is such an important factor.
Mm.
You know that in the U.S., Donald Trump came under fire. He almost lost the presidency. I don't know. There's a bit of echo. Can
No,
you
I
hear?
can hear you clearly.
You
There's
can
no
hear me,
trouble.
right? Okay. So Donald Trump nearly he was impeached and he nearly lost the presidency because of malpractice.
Mm.
Now, okay, so I can hear an echo. I can hear myself. I don't know why. How I don't know how I can rectify it. But what I'm trying to say is, if
Yeah.
you think of one of the biggest criticisms that is placed on people power and Bobby Wine in particular, you know the Uganda culture. We are a bit of a conservative society, whereby
Mm.
things such as same-sex marriages and all the rest of it is still not acceptable within the Uganda society. So, and Bobby Wine is associated with people who are readily able to fund him from those communities. Now you
Mm.
can see uh, what the entire society seems to be saying is that if Bobby Wine gets funded by these individuals and he gets to
Mm.
power, he is likely to change our way of life in the sense that he may go into parliament, he will use legislation to make it easy for such people to practice, to go about practicing their their behavior in Uganda, which at the moment is against the law. Now you
Mm.
can see we are now going into a very difficult territory, yeah, whereby if it was to be proven, and I'm not sure if it is true, but if it was to be proven that Bobby Wine indeed is linked to this kind of funding, then I think we
Mm.
have a problem whereby um, the entire nation is likely to turn against him just because of that one issue, which is so fundamental to the Uganda society. Yeah, and this is why funding or money is very important. You need to know the source of money that this celebrity
And the
is
motive
using.
behind it.
Yes.
And,
Now,
and the
for someone
motive
like,
behind it.
yes, so for someone like, because in developed countries, people fund political parties, but they come clean and everybody knows about them. Yeah.
Mm.
The
Mm.
conservatives have a list of people who actually give them funding. And sometimes they actually say clearly why they are funding the political parties. Yeah.
Yeah, they have they call them donors, don't they?
Donors, that's right.
Yes, they
So
have their donors.
so where the funding motive is not clear, that is where it is likely to be questionable why somebody is actually accepting money from a hidden donor, right? Now, I'm not quite sure about Bosmic, where exactly, yeah, I'm not quite clear exactly the source of his funding, but I think
Mm.
at the moment we can safely say that most of his funding comes from State House. Now, State
Mm.
House money is actually our money
Mm.
because State House cannot give you money. Um,
The state house doesn't
and
have money. It relies on
exactly,
public money.
exactly. So, so, so in the case of Bosmic, we can be clear that if at all he gets money from State House, then good luck to him. Uh, if I were him, I would use this money constructively. Yeah, use the money constructively. Put the manifesto promises forward so that everybody knows
Mm.
what your plans are for the constituency. Yeah. So I would say it's not all about money. It's also where this money is coming from and what, if it's coming from a interest group, then you need to know what this interest group
No,
is.
no, but when I say is it all about money, I mean from their own perspective. Are they in the politics just to get the money?
I see your point. I would say the politics in Uganda at the present has been blurred so much that it's very difficult to, yeah, it's very, yeah,
I can
it's
hear you.
yeah, it's very difficult to say someone has gone into politics genuinely to serve the people. You can only tell that after they've served the term. Someone like Ojara Mapenduzi, we can now judge him on the 2 terms he has had in the district. Did he actually go into politics to serve us, or was it all about
But
money?
he's got there's several cries against him quietly though. There's
Yeah,
several cries against
we
him on several issues that I don't even want to touch on today because
we can we
I
can
need
we
to I
can
need
look
to
at,
I need to make proper investigations and be
yeah.
able to verify before I can say, okay, guys, we need to assess this candidate in a different way. But
Mm,
yeah, there's several silent complaints here and there. But as you know, the nature of northern politics, some of it could be mere character assassinations. But we do there's quite a lot of complaints about corruption, about land grabbing, about even sex abuse or so there are several issues coming up whether the people who are bringing them up are waiting for the campaign to heat up before they can strike him with them. We will wait and see. We
mm.
will wait and see.
Just to answer your question, I think
Mm,
I would say it is very difficult to take someone's word for it to say that whether it is just about
yeah, I
money
can hear you.
or they're in. the political scene to serve the people. Now, my issue is um, to judge somebody before they've actually gone into the race means someone has to have some kind of track record. They have to have a convincing narrative, which when they bring it forward is convincing, not just to people who are learned, but they need to go to the grassroots and make sure the people on the grassroots will buy their plan. And then thirdly, they have to have a credible plan. There's no need, coming up with a manifesto which is so leafy that, you can see that they're not going to deliver all of the points
Mm.
they've got in the manifesto. So I would say come up with a manifesto with the bare minimum of promises. Yeah. But if you can under promise and over deliver, then of course, people will say, yeah, this guy did not come here to promise a lot, but he has produced all of this for us. Yeah. So I would say, but looking at the environment right now, I would say most people go into this politics as a means to an end. They want to use this as employment opportunity. Yeah. Because they
And
see
that and
that,
that is very sad. And that
yeah,
is
it's
very
very
sad.
sad.
And that leads me to my next question then. Do
Mm,
you think it's due to the fact that there are limited opportunities in Uganda? There are very limited opportunities for career progression, very limited having a career at all. We see even the old politicians are struggling with where do I go from here if I lose this political seat? And most of them, when they lose the political seat, they become quite irrelevant and very lost and in a lot of debt because
mm,
the nature of the politics has become so expensive. They spend so much on campaign. They spend
mm,
so much trying to keep voters happy to get another term. So they and immediately they make it. People's expectations seem to be like they have to get rich overnight. And so they're
mm,
taking out, very toxic loans to buy V8s, to build a house very
mm,
fast. They want their life to literally change overnight.
mm,
Somebody who went into the campaigns without a car or was borrowing a car now wants to drive.
mm,
Now wants to leave Gulu and live in Kampala because the parliament is in Kampala and he wants to
mm,
buy the house. He doesn't want to rent. And the
mm,
banks know this. The banks know the
mm,
MPs earn 20 million. So the banks keep
mm,
giving them money.
mm,
I
mm.
know of an MP who got up to 1 billion in loans because based on his salary being factored for the 5 years. They didn't care if something happened along the way. They just gave him the 1 billion. But the
Mm,
young man went on and built an apartment complex somewhere on in Namugongo, and he's done well for himself now. So
mm.
unfortunately, being an MP gives them that credit facility
Leverage.
with the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
that sort of changes life overnight. And this is why
mm,
I say we need to be careful because it seems for a lot of them, the attraction there is only money, really. And
mm.
there's no community care at all. But what I'm struggling with is it because there's no other opportunities for the youth? Because then that tells me the NRM has failed Ugandans.
I mean, that's the upshot of it, unfortunately, because if you take someone like my brother, who I gave the example of earlier, who is a
Mm,
managing partner in a private firm, right?
mm, mm,
Why would you want to leave that and then
mm,
go and become an MP? When you are in the private sector, supposedly you are making a lot of money. Yeah. I think what we are seeing here is the capacity of people to pay the market rate for a
mm,
service has dwindled.
mm,
Yeah, whether it is due to the economy contracting, whether it's due to the government not generating the economy well enough to create more jobs. I think that's been the end result. So you find a lot of people who have actually just finished education and they're qualified. They've got no experience. They're walking the streets. They've got no place to go. So now the opportunity comes. Election is around the corner. Why can't you give it a shot? Whether you're going to go at the district level or at the national level, people are going to do that. Unfortunately, they will not be going into all this with the conviction of someone like, if I remember, President Obama. His background was he was a social worker offering
He
legal
was a youth
services.
mentor as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He had done a lot of work at the grassroots with with the disadvantaged family groupings. Um,
Mm.
so his reason for going for the Senate seat was like a progression from where he was. Yeah. And of course, his progression
And,
from the
and
Senate
and
seat.
rightfully so, because he needed that power
Yeah,
to effect the changes which he couldn't. Like we later on go to see Obamacare because he would have seen all these issues with the medical insurance in the US while he
correct.
was doing social work.
Correct. So I agree with
Right?
you totally. The NRM government has given this kind of false narrative, um, where we see the economy hasn't grown as much as they've actually led people to believe. And how do we know this? There's rampant unemployment all around the country. Yeah. Unfortunately, people, especially young people, could have used the opportunity much better. But for you to move into a more substantive role, you need someone to help you out. Whether it's going to be the bank or whether you're going to be helped by your family member, you need a small capital to start a business. Or maybe if you're going into farming, you'll need some equipment. Those are not easy areas to go into. And of course, they are not sort of like glamorous. But to be an MP or to be a councillor suddenly is, very glamorous for a lot of young people
So
because
in a nutshell, then NRM has created a culture of job seeker politicians, which is very wrong. They
I
are
agree
not
with.
career politicians. They're
Mm.
merely job seeker politicians who want to go into parliament just for the sake of a job.
Let's not be unkind and say all of them are doing that, but there are a few, obviously, who have started off from a
The
different
bulk of
background.
it, the bulk
But
of
the
it, the
bulk of
bulk
it,
of it are
I
like
agree with
that.
100%. I agree 100%. That is what is happening. Nobody can convince me that they are not doing that because we see the evidence all around us. Yeah.
And maybe as well, you did touch on the economy, and I think though we're straying here a bit, but I think
Mm,
the economy per se has grown. The only trouble is the growth has not been equal, and the wealth has been concentrated in a few hands.
mm,
And just like all over the world, the wages haven't grown. There's a lot of nepotism, so the
mm,
opportunities that become available get given to specific certain type of people, and
mm,
it cuts out the vast majority of people. Now, this is an African problem, and if we don't move from this culture of giving opportunity to our own, whereas making it open to everybody, Africa will never change. And in a sense, that's the root cause of corruption, because someone in a family makes it and the whole community expects something from them. And I
correct.
think the president knows this, and he touched on it when he was passing out some soldiers at some point. So really, it's not that all of these problems now we're experiencing, the hardship in the urban areas, the rise of Bobby Wine and the youth movement, I think it's all down to the socio-economic growth and development that the country has enjoyed and the relative peace. The
Mm,
only issue is it's being mismanaged, and it's
mm,
created social classes, and nobody wants social classes. And I think that's where the problem. If we could finalize them now,
mm.
what else is a celebrity going to do in Parliament that they they couldn't have done as a celebrity?
So if we look at Bobby Wine
Mm.
has been in Parliament as a renowned celebrity. Now he has been very crafty and clever. He has used the platform of singing to send his message, and his message has resonated. Let's be honest about it. It has resonated
Mm.
very well. If
Mm.
he was more accommodating of other views, he should be bringing more seasoned politicians to buffer himself up so that he creates a more formidable front. Yeah,
Force.
force. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would have looked at him accepting people like Besigye, Mao, and all these politicians who have been around to buttress the People Power NUP party organization to be a more formidable force. Yeah.
Mm.
But what I would say is um, he has been in power for one term. He has used his
Mm.
power very sensibly. and
Mm,
things have sort of worked in his favor in terms of he has, on the domestic front, his message has been readily acceptable and resonated very well with the rest of the country. So
mm,
he has scored a few political scores during by-elections in Jinja, in Bugiri, and all around, and that has elevated his status. But now I think his biggest problem is to translate that around the country. And I think he's struggling a bit because, of course, he is a
uh,
young man.
is it
Uh,
is it is it down to his over ambition though? Because all these elderly leaders, it seems his celebrity power got so much into his head, and he almost felt invincible. Like these guys have nothing without him, and he's kind of used that to make sure if we are going to partner, then I have to be the president. But if you are to assess based on merit, if these people all came together, he wouldn't be the first in line for the presidency, and that is what he does not want whatsoever. And
so,
just the other day, he was on the radio saying, "Oh, he's not a politician. He's only there to remove Museveni." And then I thought this young man is quite contradicting himself. If you're only there to use Museveni to remove Museveni, your strategy would have been have somebody like Norbert Mao who is gonna open up the north. The man literally holds the north in his palm.
mhm.
You know, have somebody like Mugisha Munt or Besigye who holds the west, and then work it out. Even if you're third premier, your career is still growing, but because everything is centered around him, and he's such a selfish man. And I think Loketo Lee can verify. But Loketo Lee worked with that camp. Loketo Lee can specifically verify how selfish this young man is.
Mm.
And in any sense, the young man is living his dream. Okay, he's living the perfect Ugandan dream. He has no reason whatsoever to remove Museveni. If we are to talk about it, openly. So really, what is it about for him? What
So,
else can he do that he couldn't have done as a celebrity in parliament? And in fact, he
mm,
hasn't done anything in parliament that he couldn't have done as a celebrity.
mm. I would agree with you again. I mean, I would say he has been lucky, but some people will say luck favors the brave, which means he has forced luck to favor him. So very recently, we saw the European Union ambassadors visiting their offices, and of course, in a place such as Uganda, where people associate um, white people with success and being, having the force which is required. Obviously, it is going to translate into advantage in favor of
Yeah, to,
people
to the
power.
layman, it's going to translate into an endorsement by the West,
Exactly, exactly. But
which
then
is totally
we,
wrong.
but the point is, we still have Museveni there. We still have the UPDF there, and we still have Museveni appointing
The
the
LDU as well.
electoral commission. Yeah, who are the people who are going to announce the election results?
So,
So
so really,
so
it's
so we can
celebrity
see that.
power and political power start to make a difference there.
Yeah, and I can see that, to be honest, unless you begin to address the issue of where is the LDU and the UPDF going to be after the election, if you haven't addressed that issue, then I think we are still just, because some of these people have come out in the open and said, oh, this young man, we are not going to salute him when he wins the election. So what do you think that tells
No,
us?
you make a valid point
Mm,
because I've always said this before. I've always said for there to be any fair election in Uganda, the UPDF must be totally independent of government. Now,
mm,
the UPDF is not independent of government, neither
mm,
is the police.
mm,
So then, in a sense, you do have an elected government, but it's a
mm,
military government. It's not, it's
mm.
not what you would call a democratic government in a sense. If you
No.
know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this illusion that the Bobby Wines have and where he's failing with this movement is coming up as if it's a battle of the young against the old. And this
Mm,
is why he's failing to absorb them. So now he finds himself in a situation where he's not just threatening the old in NRM, he's threatening the old in all the other parties.
mm.
Now, these old are the same fathers,
That he needs.
brothers, that we look out to, that Uganda looks out to. So it's starting to look like a lost child, really. It's starting to
Yeah.
look like a spoiled child that wants it all.
Mm.
I'm sorry to say, and I know, a lot of his people will bash us later, but that's just the fact.
No, no,
He is not a statesman
mm,
to strategize and realize that his best thing was now to partner with the Maos, and to removing Museveni can be achieved, like Muntu said.
mm,
But when you have somebody like Bobby Wine with the mobilization capital and totally defunct of any political strategy or plan in his head,
mm.
and we're just following him blindly because we're hungry and we're frustrated when we just want change, then we're heading downhill so fast, and
Yeah,
that's what frustrates me about
yeah,
Uganda right now.
yeah.
You know,
I agree with you, and I'm just fearful that the political dispensation, as we see them now, is likely to be one which is going to be one of the most violent in the country so far. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong. The reason why I'm saying that is I'm looking at this LDU factor, and I'm also looking at the UPDF. Uh,
come on, you're from the
and
north. You have experienced that already.
exactly, exactly. So of course, what I'm saying is these two forces are still in favor, or they've all been appointed by the incumbent. And what's even more of an important factor is the Electoral Commission, um, which we know has got some problems in it right now because of the Bobby Wine factor. Because when they announced that they had a party that they were going to use for as a vehicle for electing their leader, Museveni suddenly realized that how did they manage to sneak this party through the Electoral Commission? Maybe they are colluding.
He sacked all of them, didn't
He did, yeah, he did. But now um, we have a problem if
he?
we have a situation where we do not have the Electoral Commission functioning at its full capacity with the election timetable already in progress. Uh, and that's not
Very
that's
true,
not
very true.
that's not the only problem. Actually, that and the other issue is, and that might be a separate topic altogether. This so-called scientific election, which we are going into, that I don't.
Oto Donga finished that one. I'll send you the video. Oto Donga addressed that
Okay.
one very well.
Uh,
Basically, what he said, the 11th parliament, I don't know, whatever parliament, or the 12th, it's just going to be an
mm.
appointed parliament. So I thought he was going to say he's not going to bother to stand, but he's still willing to stand. So again, he contradicts himself there, but I think he makes a sensible point in a way.
Yeah.
So Charles, anyway, just your concluding remarks, and then we can finish.
So my conclusion is, let's watch these celebrity members of parliament to be very carefully as voters. We have to make sure that we understand why they have actually come into the fray. They need to tell us precisely what they're there for. We need to see their realistic manifesto, not this long list which is prepared by some consultancy organizations, and then they just dump it on the social media as if some of us don't know how to tell the difference between something which is achievable and something which cannot be achieved. So we need to look at these celebrity MPs very carefully. Having said that, we also need to look at the people who have actually served the previous parliament very carefully. What sort of achievements have they made? Um, is there anything that we can learn from what they've done? Have they actually helped us in any way? We need to hold them to account. If our answer is that they deserve to go in for a second term, then I think as a people, we need to send them back. But if we think we have a better candidate, not these candidates who come with money and they're putting it, on display, and, this 4x4, which has been given by the president, driving you around. I'm saying to you, good luck to you if you have got that. But as a voter, I think, we deserve something better. We deserve you to come clearly and tell us why you think you deserve for us to put you in that position, where you will be our spokesperson, where you will echo our voices. That is what my final conclusion should be.
Okay, Charles, thank you very much. It's always
Mm.
lovely to have you. And I hope you have a lovely evening in
Oh, and
London,
you
and
too. Thank you
we
so
shall
much.
still communicate.
We'll speak again soon. Thank you so much, and good night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks
All
a
right,
lot.
our viewers, we
Mm.
have to say goodbye now. All right, y'all. See you later. Bye bye now.
Thank you.